School of Management Studies IGNOU presents an audiobook on the course MMPC 007 Business Communication for MBA program. Presenting Block 1 Introduction to Communication. Unit 1 Basics of Communication. Let's listen to the unit.
Introduction. Communication is one of the most essential skills for effective communication. It is very important to understand the nuances of communication. In this unit, we will be discussing as to how the communication in its present form evolved. We will study the differentiation between general and business communication. We know that communication is important in an organization. While working in a business enterprise, we interact with superiors, co-workers, and subordinates, converse one-on-one or over the intercom or phone, and read and write emails, letters, business reports, and proposals. All of these activities have one thing in common: the sharing of information. No business enterprise or organization can function without communication. Communication is at the center of all business activities. The better is our communication skills, the greater our chances of success. Our business acumen and degrees can be of little use in a working environment without proper communication. For example, although one may have an excellent academic record, one may not be successful in a placement interview if one is not able to convey one's concepts and ideas successfully to the interviewers. Most successful entrepreneurs and managers in the business world have superb communication skills. Evolution of communication. Communication is a way to interact with others. It is an integral part of our lives. A proper communication results in proper understanding. Communication techniques have evolved over the years, or say ages, and is a continuous process. In this section, we will see as to how communication has evolved with times. Communication is a process which involves exchange of interaction or relaying an expression with the help of words or signs. Every day, we come across different focus of communication, be it in writing or talking or listening. It is very important to communicate effectively so as to convey the message clearly. There are different types of communication, viz., verbal and non-verbal. We will discuss these in details in Unit 3. Let us now learn how the communication in its present form evolved. Cave paintings. Since ages, humans have been using different ways to communicate. One of the oldest methods of communication is cave paintings. Cave paintings are just not paintings. Instead, they conveyed a specific message like making the territories, recording major events, etc. The paintings were represented in the form of symbols. Communication through symbols. Our ancestors had a certain way of communicating through different signs and symbols. Petroglyphs or rock carvings were created around 10,000 BC. These were the carvings on the rocks which depicted a story. Then the ideograms For example, numerals were developed. Later, the characters were created, and lastly, the alphabets were created, which was a landmark in the communication process. Smoke signals. In early ages, people depended on elements to communicate. Smoke signals were one of the forms to transmit a message. Carriers' pigeons. This was one of the popular methods of sending the written messages through the pigeons, who became the carriers of the message. The carrier pigeons acted like postal service and had a major role to play in World War I and World War II. Postal system. During ancient times, Egyptians used the courier services to send the official orders. In India, China, Rome, and Persia too had an organized postal system. The first mailbox system and delivery of paid envelopes was started in Paris way back in 1653. Print. First printing press was developed by the Germans in 1440, and it brought a radical change in the communication process. In the 16th century, newspapers came into existence. Radio. After the print communication technique took a new turn and wireless power evolved as one of the forms to transmit messages, radio broadcasting started in 1893. Telegraph. Telegraph communication was a revolution in the long-distance communication. Morse code was developed by Samuel Morse, which was a series of clicks, tones, and lights to transmit the message. The first telegraph message was sent in 1844. Telephone. The invention of telephone became a major form of verbal communication, and till date it is the most reliable form of communication. Television. Then came television, which, like telephone, is an integral part of our lives. The television is a mode of indirect communication. Internet. 1950s saw the emergence of computers, which now has become the major source of communication. This saw the technology penetrating considerably in the communication process. The year 1973 saw the emergence of the term Internet, which now is the most used term. Email. Emails or the electronic mails have now become an integral form of communication in the personal as well as professional lives. Text message. Text messages are another mode of communication which is short and fast and uses a data network. Social media. This is latest mode of communication and has digitized the world. The use of social media platform has brought the world closer. During the pandemic, this has been one of the most popular modes to transmit messages. Communication over the ages has gone through lots of transformation. Today, it has become quite convenient and efficient to communicate. Elements of communication. Communication as a word has been derived from the Latin word communicationis, which means to share. To define communication, it can be said that it is an act of purposefully and actively exchanging information between two or more people to send or receive a message through a shared system of signs and symbols. The basic elements of communication are as follows: source, message, channels, receiver, environment, context, interference. Difference between general and business communication. We know that communication deals with transfer of information from one person to the other. When we talk about business communication, it relates with business-related areas or topics. It is derived from general communication related to business activities. General communication deals with day-to-day or general topics which may or may not be specific in nature. The difference between the two lies in the nature of the communication. Now, we will see the difference between the general and the business communication. First is the format. In the business communication, format for communication is very specific. In general communication, formats for communication is varied. Category. In business communication, it is usually formal in nature. In general communication, it involves personal touch, extent or reach. In business communication, it usually is practical and unbiased. In general communication, it can be vast and can be fictitious and biased at times. Demonstration or presentation. In business communication, it specifically follows the norms and procedures of the organization. In general communication, it is informal and different methods can be used. In business communication, the aim or intention. In business communication, it focuses on the aim of the organization. In general communication, it does not have a focus. Kind or nature or pattern. In business communication, it is official in nature. In general communication, it is personal in nature. Feedback. In business communication, feedback is required. In general communication, feedback may not be required. Purpose of business communication. Business communication plays a key role in a business enterprise or industry. All managerial or administrative activities involve communication, be it planning, organizing, recruiting, coordinating, or decision making. Communication serves as a means to measure the success or growth of an organization. Participation in the communication process involves developing skills in collecting and organizing information, analyzing and evaluating facts, appreciating the difference between facts and inferences, and communicating effectively. Communication is successful only when the purpose is fulfilled. The purpose of communication may be to inform, persuade, or motivate to a desired action. In each situation or case, there is a positive change intended to be brought out in the audience or listener or the receiver of the communication, change of attitude or perception or belief in the target audience in a desired manner. So, in the ultimate analysis, all business communication is manipulative, purposive, and goal-directed. Therefore, the measure of communication effectiveness depends on the extent to which the final goal is achieved. Seven C's of communication. In the business world, effective communication is the key to success. And effective communication is applicable to both oral as well as written communication. It is therefore very important to understand 7 C's of communication, which help in conveying important message effectively, in turn increasing employee engagement and productivity. The 7 C's of communication are clarity, correctness, conciseness, courtesy, concreteness, consideration, completeness. We will discuss each of them one by one. Clarity. This means that a specific message has been sent instead of trying to send too many messages at one particular time. This involves use of simple and precise services. The following are the features of clarity: clear understanding, clarity of thoughts and ideas, use of simple, appropriate, and precise words. Correctness. Use of correct language, grammar, data, etc. is very important to communicate the message clearly. The features of correctness are timely, exact, and correct message, boosts the confidence, greater impact on the audience. Conciseness. This means communicating using minimum but appropriate words. It has the following features: time saving, avoids excessive usage of unnecessary words, short and limited, appealing and comprehensible, non-repeatable. Courtesy. This is one of the important C's of communication, as it shows the respect, politeness, judicious behavior to the other party, in turn creating goodwill. It has the following features: consideration of the feeling of the audience, positive and focused, unbiased. Concreteness. As the term suggests, it is specific, meaningful, and clear, and avoids ambiguity and double meaning. This has the following feature: supports facts and figures, clear and precise, avoids misinterpretation. Consideration. This implies that the audience is taken into consideration in terms of his or her viewpoints, culture, mindset, values, etc. The features of this are: stresses on you approach, empathetic, optimistic. Completeness. The last C of communication is completeness. As the term suggests, it means that any communication, be it personal or professional, must be complete. It should deliver all the facts and information required to send the message to the receiver. It has the following features: builds reputation of the organization, cost saving, removes the barriers of vague information, helps in better decision making. We have learned 7 C's of communication, and it is quite clear that communication is one of the most essential skills that should be practiced. In this unit, we discussed the dimensions of communication, and the use of the proper language has been discussed through the case study. We have also learned the 7 C's of communication, which are clarity, correctness, conciseness, courtesy, concreteness, consideration, and completeness. In this unit, we were able to understand the way one should communicate to make the communication effective.
You are listening to audiobook by School of Management Studies IGNOU for MBA program. Course code MMPC 007 Business Communication Block 1 Unit 1. Course Coordinator Professor Neeti Agrawal from School of Management Studies IGNOU. Voiceover by Santosh Bharati. Edited by Taranum Jahan. Program assisted by Jagbandhu Jana. And program produced by Manoj Kumar Singh. This program was brought to you by Electronic Media Production Center of Indira Gandhi National Open University.